guys, and welcome to my new YouTube channel, Standing Tall on Tuesdays. And today, I'm doing my first interview with Dr. Kisha Roberts-Tabb. And I'm so excited and I'm so nervous because God is really stretching me. Whew, yes, He is really stretching me. And we are going to go interview her at her home. So I hope that you follow me and we go on this journey of interviewing phenomenal women, including her. She is a probation officer, she's a human trafficking specialist, she's a biblical counselor, and she's a community psychologist. So come, go with me. And my friend Fanshawn, who is videotaping this,
hey,
as we go and interview her on this day. And what else are we gonna do, Fanshawn?
Oh, it'll be lots of this.
Yeah, it'll be lots of this. Yeah, so just come go with me and explore as she shares her story on God's word and what she stood on and believed on as I shared my story. And it'll be other phenomenal stories along with this YouTube channel and Standing Tall on Tuesday. So thank you so much.
So we are currently on our way to see Dr. Kisha right now. We are en route. There is a lot of traffic, but we will get there soon. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to this interview. I know it's going to be good. I know Deidre is going to do really well, and I hope you all are informed by what it is that she's going to present and the things that she's going to share. So hope you all stay tuned and get ready for this interview. Deidre, got something to say?
I'm excited. I won't even say that I'm nervous. I'm just excited about what God is about to do, what He's about to release, and the stretch that is coming. So, yes. And I'm glad that you guys are here on this journey with me. So, let's go.
Let's get it.
Hey. So here we are doing our first interview with Dr. Kisha. Hey. How are you?
Good.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being my first interview. I'm so excited to do this, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Standing Tall on Tuesdays. And I'm interviewing strong women, and you are a phenomenal strong woman doing your thing. And I'm so excited about what God has for you. And actually, when we came in, you said something about January being the month of what?
It's Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
And I didn't even know that. And look at God and how He just totally did that thing. Mm-hmm. So we are going to get into all of that and what you're going to be doing later on this week. Okay. And I'm just excited about this whole entire thing and how it's spearheading and how 2020 is the year of vision and the decade destiny and just all of that. So I have some questions for you. What's a fave thing about you that no one knows?
What?
A favorite thing about you that no one knows?
My favorite thing in the world is to African dance.
Really? Oh my God, do you know how to African dance?
Yes, I studied in Ghana.
Did you? Nice. Okay. For how long? How many years?
So I've been dancing forever. I danced with a few African dance companies, professional companies. Biagio, I danced with Najwa for a minute. I danced with Miniaka. So I've danced with a lot of dance companies. And when I was in college, I got the opportunity. I was the assistant director for the African dance company that was in school, Biagio. And I got an opportunity to go and study under a renowned dance instructor.
Really?
So that was really an awesome experience because, you know, when we get here, we kind of change stuff around. And so just to be able to see it from its origin and what it's supposed to look like and learning, like, the origin of things and why certain dances are done, it was an amazing experience.
Wow. So how long did you do that?
In Africa?
Yeah.
I did a semester.
Oh, really? And how long have you just been dancing?
I've been dancing all my life.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been dancing all my life. You look around, you know, I come from a real Afrocentric family.
Okay.
And so we've always been very in tune with our background, in tune with the culture and things of that nature.
Okay. Okay. So my other question is, how do we know each other?
Church.
Okay, well,
You was so friendly to me. It was so funny too because I always used to sit behind you. I don't know if you remember that. Like when you used to usher at UIC. You remember that?
Usher?
Wasn't you agreed at UIC?
I was agreed.
Yeah. So you was agreed at UIC, and so when I come in, you always was, you was the one, give me a hug, and then you always and I'm like, and then you always sat right in front of me and my daughter. My daughter was so little, and she always be like, she's so nice.
Oh my God.
So before we ever had a conversation, I probably been sitting behind you for probably like 10 years.
Yeah, because it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years.
So I always sat right behind you at church.
Wow.
First you started the first set of the rises, and I would always be in the second.
Yeah, sat back there, right there behind that middle section, sat right there. Oh my God.
And Ava used to sit on the other side of us.
Wow. Oh my God, you brought back a memory. Okay. Well, let me tell you, when we were at the women's retreat in September, and you had your vendor table and I had mine, I was just like, wow, other people had their vendor tables too, but I was just like, oh my God, like look at her vendor table, like you had everything, and I was just like, okay, so I went over to your vendor table and I started talking to you, and I started listening to you and how passionate you were about everything that you are doing. You have a passion for men, you have a passion for women, and everybody in between. And I love that about you. You are bold, you are courageous, and you just big at heart.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are big at heart. And this was at the women's retreat.
And I was so tore up.
And I'm just like, oh my God. And I was just like, so, like, oh my God. It was just something about it. And you and I had never like even held a conversation, but I was just like, God, this is what she is called to do. She does it, and she does it well, and she's bold with it. And she's courageous with it, and that's what I loved. And then you left. You had a situation that you had to take care of. Somebody had called you.
I had another speaking engagement.
Oh, did you? Okay, so I thought maybe you had to like go and deal with somebody that had called you or something.
A trafficking training for some adolescents.
Okay, and then you came back. So I'm just like, this is what she does. So that was in September, and then somebody called me afterwards and was like, Deidre, how are you promoting your book? And I was like, I don't know. But I just remember, so let me go back. So I just remember your table set up. You had t-shirts, you had books, you had the other products, like the non-alcoholic stuff. And I'm just like, she is doing it. She is doing everything. Like, and she's a probation officer, and she's, human trafficking specialist. So all of this, right? So somebody called me and it's like, Deidre, how are you promoting your book? And I was just like, I'm not. I was just like, I'm not. I did what God told me to do. So they mentioned you should start a YouTube channel, and I was like, no, I don't know, because I'm more of in the back person, right? So when it's a prayer, first person he gave me was you.
Wow.
And I remember sharing that with you, and I was just like, okay,
I didn't know
Jesus.
The first person.
Yeah, he gave me you. He put you in front of me. And I was just like, okay, God, but I don't know her. I did it. And I didn't know anything about you. But then he started giving me everything else. And you said when God gives you something, you just got to go with it. And here we are. So then he gave me standing, when people started divine connections, they started when I started sharing it with the right person, they were like, call it Standing Tall on Tuesdays. So I was like,
such a dynamic name.
I was like, yeah, the name of my book. Standing Tall, Walking in My Father's Promises. He gave me the book. Now here is something else that goes along with it. Okay, here we are. How did you get to where you are with being everything that you are? You are not just a phenomenal woman. You are not just a mother. You're not just a wife. You are a probation officer. You are human trafficking. You are... this is what I love too, a biblical counselor. You are community activist. You are everything. How did you get here?
Grace.
Okay.
Grace. It's so funny because so when I talk to people, people always think like, oh, you're doing a million things but I'm not really doing a million things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the same thing, just in different places. And I think that when we get so caught up with being with our tunnel vision, and we think, oh, God said go here, but sometimes he did not build a tree and just make it stand straight up. He built a tree. He rooted a tree, and then he had limbs, right?
Yeah.
And so the limbs stretch out so many different places. So I always get upset when people like, you just stretching yourself too thin. No, I'm growing. I'm trying to be impactful, because I understand that. And when it came to my job as a probation officer, I did not even start. I started teaching, and my kids was off the chain. I'm like, this can't be. This just cannot be what education has come down to. And I met a lady, and she prophesied over me, and she told me, she said, you are meant to work with this population, but just not in this setting. And so I was like, oh, okay. And she, she didn't say nothing else. And then it just seemed like somebody just asked me, my little cousin just asked me, do I think things fell in my lap, or do I think I worked for them? And I told her, I think God tossed it in my lap just to see what I would do with it. Because nothing I've ever had, I went after. We just talked about me going to Ghana. I didn't even apply for that scholarship.
My God.
The girl who got the scholarship couldn't go because she had 2 children and no one to take care of them.
Okay.
I had a daughter, but I had a whole village behind me that was like, we got her, you go.
Right.
I've never, even my job, I got a call, you want to work here? Like, I've never applied for anything. But I think the way, for me, God has always worked, made me earn everything that He's given me. His grace has always been on 100 with me, but He also have made me work hard for it when He give it to you. Instead of, a lot of people talk about the struggle to get there, I didn't have that. Like, He just be like, Bloop, you want this? Now let me see what you're gonna do with it.
Right.
And how I handle that is when He's continue to drop another one and another one and another one. And so that's kind of like just how everything has happened. Like, I got a phone call one day from my sister, and she was like, my sister is a doctor too. She's an anesthesiologist, and she was like, literally, like, I'm not kidding. She called me one day, I was driving to work. She like, you know what would be dope? I'm like, what? If both daddy daughters was doctors. Daddy daughters doctors. I'm like, that's lame. I'm like, what? She like, you should go get a PhD. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't want to do school no more. She like, so you're not gonna, not even if it was for daddy. And that's how so she like, just apply. Like, and so I applied.
And that's how that thing came.
That's how that came. The human trafficking. I was a probation officer. I was working with girls. Somebody called me and was like, I also had a non-for-profit, Social Butterfly. And so I was raising a lot of money, and people knew that I was raising a lot of money, like funding for the program. We didn't get any grants. We operated on complete fundraising. And so she called when she left my job and went to non-for-profit and was like, can you help me fundraise? But I work for the Dream Center, and we have a farm, and can you help me raise money because they need this, that, and third. So I'm like, well, what do the ladies get? She said substance abuse. Ding, my mom. So I said, well, what if I give it to you? What if I give you everything you need, this whole list, but you dedicate the space to my mom? And she was like, fine. Did that. They start calling. And then I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to get him some money. I wanted I wanted to write a feel-good check and keep it moving. But he wouldn't let me. And so they kept calling and sending me pictures. And then she called again and was like, can you go on a ride along with me? I'm like, what is that? I thought they was at the farm. Like, we going to the farm. She's like, no, they go out. I went out there one time, and it was, my life changed after that day. Like, I really understood purpose on that day. Like, I knew that that's where I was supposed to go. I knew that my work would always be with women and girls. My work would always be with the voiceless, regardless of whether it was free or paid. Everything, that was it. So I went back to work, and then I started doing work with the kids there. Like picking up on signs, seeing kids out while I'm doing ministry and pulling them to the side at work. And they asked me to write a position. Now, I wrote the position, then they said, write the policy, write the procedure. Now, what they do, where do they do that at? So it's nothing but God. Like, I can't take no credit. Like, I just can't. And so I was in a PhD program, I was doing the ministry, and one of my professors said, you're a good student, but you're not passionate about school like you're passionate about human trafficking. So she said, so if you're going to finish, you're going to have to do your dissertation on human trafficking. So that's what I did.
Right. You're going to have to do
right.
this.
And so, I mean, it's just like everything has always been
lined up.
And it's always been the thing that I never thought I would do. Like working with women, I had such an issue with women not being raised by my mom. And the abandonment issues I had, especially women that use drugs. Like, you're nothing, you know. Because in my mind, that's why my mom left. And so it's just like.
But you stood.
Yeah, I stood. And so I kept doing whatever he told me to do. Like it was like he just kept dropping stuff and just seeing like, is she gonna plant this or eat this? Like this is gonna work. Yeah. And so everything I've ever planted has just bloomed, and it's nothing but I can't blame nobody. I mean, I can't take no credit for it.
Right. Wow.
Be
quiet. Wow. Well, that's what I most admire about you, that you have you persevered, you kept going, you never gave up, you always did what you needed to do and wanted to do, and here you are. So what's next for you?
I'm working on my second book. And so the first book is a collection of my lived and observed experiences. And one of the experiences, of course, will be around my work with exploitation. And then when I was writing the book, my first book, it was really therapeutic, and I really had to deal with myself. And
because writing books are very healing. They're very therapeutic, they're very healing, and they're good for your soul. So.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So it made me start looking at ways that I had been exploited and exploited myself, not in the you know, like the official way in which you exploit people, but just how I entered relationships and the expectations I had of men to take care of me, and what I gave for that, you know, to make sure that expectation came into fruition. You know, and so my next book is called Whose Little Girl Am I? Anyone with Money to Buy. And I'm literally going through exploitation in the actual physical, you know, what it means as far as sexual exploitation, how we exploit ourselves for different reasons of validation, how we, you know, how we exploit ourselves to stay in relationships, and how we are exploited, how we are controlled. And so I really want to explore that, because I think the work I'm doing, like the work with human trafficking, is so broad, you know, and everybody has like this very narrow view of what trafficking is, that, you know, you gotta bring them to somebody that's being brought somewhere, or they kidnapped. But a lot of times the bondage is so mental and so emotional. And what every woman that's ever been in a real relationship been in bondage at some point of another, some point where they didn't understand, like, oh my God, this man got my man, he got my heart, and then your body follows. And so in the sense of exploitation, that's exactly what exploitation is. But we don't look at it, when we look in the mirror, we don't look at ourselves, you know, for real, and think about the things that we've done for money, for shelter, for validation, for love. So I want to explore that in this book.
So what is something that you would tell your younger self?
I actually wrote a book. We wrote a book, Grace. Grace is letters to our younger self.
Okay.
And so I picked the age of 15 when I was approached to do the book. And I wrote, my chapter is called It Gets Better. Because as a teenager, I just felt like everybody around me was doing so well, and I was struggling so hard. Like everybody had it together, but I just couldn't get it together. Everybody had like their mothers, and I didn't know where mine was. You know, like it was just like so much going on, and I just was so angry and defiant. And so my letter to myself was just telling myself that it gets better, that all the things that people are saying about you, the way you dress, eventually you're gonna look around, they all gonna be dressed up like you. You know, and all the stuff that all them girls that's calling you fast, they just wanna be like, you know, like they wanna be like you, or, you know. And even with the addiction, like thinking that it was just my mother, when all my friends' mothers was getting high, they was getting high together. They just talked about mine, and they didn't, you know, they didn't really talk about their own. So just that revelation that, you know, the sun shines so much brighter after every storm.
Nice. Oh my God, I love that. So shortly after God started giving me the revelation about everything and telling me the women to interview and that whole thing, and he gave me you, I saw a posting that you did, and I was just like, okay, God, I see you. You said, through both my social and educational journey, I heard people say, you always doing something. Now what you trying to do, and you don't know what you want to do. To be honest, I didn't always know why I was going in what seemed like opposite directions. But God knew, and he was preparing me for such a time as this. And I was just like, wow, for such a time as this. And that is so true, because that's where I feel like I am. What you doing? What you know? What you always doing something? Now you you quit your job, because I have a journey, a testimony, and all of that as well. And my thing is, I don't know, whatever God wants to do, because I just thought it was the book. He told me to get thee out of thy father's house, quit my job, do all of that, write the book, and I was just like, wait, now what? But I see that there's so much more. He wanted me to share my story, share my journey, to share my testimony, so that others could hear, could be free, whatever the case may be. Now it's time for others to share their story. So I'm excited. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for me. I'm excited for everybody else that's going to read this and watch this and all of that. First what? Hi guys, and welcome to my first show. Nope. Hi guys, and welcome to my first. She talked to you. She said that Dr.